just the now that you've had some scrimmage situations, just your feeling on how the offense is progressing?
I feel good. I feel like our guys really picked up right where we left off there in January. A lot of retention. I really like the chemistry among the group. Very few missed assignments. Really good job by the guys up front, offensive line. I feel like we got two groups that are doing an excellent job, and I can't remember a time around here where we've had two groups. Really pleased with the young guys. Both Tremaine and Sean Pollard have done a good job jumping in. Very conscientious guys, going to be good players for us. So overall, a lot of good things. A lot of things to correct, like you're always going to have in the spring. Really spend a lot of time working on fundamentals, technique, footwork, all those type of things, more than scheme. And but really pleased where the guys are after 6 days.
What did you tell these guys today as they go off for spring break for the next week?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think Coach Sweeney does a good job kind of setting the stage for that, just reminding the guys that they represent Clemson whenever they leave, and the more success you have, the more scrutiny you're going to have, and to represent Clemson the right way and make good decisions, and then obviously whenever they come back and be ready to finish spring practice the right way. We're just about halfway in, and we don't want to be starting over whenever we come back on that Monday. Hope the guys will have good retention, and we'll have meetings on Sunday before that first practice whenever we get back.
Jeff, there's already a lot of buzz out there about what this offense is going to be able to achieve, and how have these guys kind of taken that in and just not really, I mean, does it affect them at all when people say they have to outscore everybody they play, they're going to put up a ridiculous amount of points, yards, that kind of thing?
I think the big thing for us is really we started the spring with the offense and a team meeting, an offensive meeting just like we did the last 2 or 3 years, and hey, it's time to start over. Now, do we have the potential to be really special? Yes, we do. Why did we have the success we had last year? Because we had a lot of guys that bought in, that were willing to work, and we've got to start over. Yes, there is some retention, but really we need to start over, and that's really going back to the fundamentals, the technique, all those type of things, and really focusing on the little things more than the big things, because if we can get consumed by the little things, then I think it'll take our attention away from all the other things that are out there. But I mean, these guys know what they have the potential to do, but they also know it's a very fine line. I mean, we go back and watch all the cut-ups, and there's a lot of things, through last season that we're very close in us having the success and winning a game or losing a game. So it's a very fine line, and but I really like the way the guys have worked. Don't see any complacency or anything like that. These guys have a good fire, good work ethic, and just going to work, and that's really what they've done since they've been here, this older group of leaders.
Is year two different for you and Tony as far as the way you guys do things?
I think having the entire offensive staff back really helps. I mean, I think, it's been documented we work together really well. So I think everybody knows their role, everything we're trying to do. It's been really smooth, and we challenged ourselves as coaches to get better. Just like we challenge our players, Coach Sweeney always is challenging our staff to get better at what we're doing. We did that kind of during the time off before spring practice. But we've got good chemistry on our staff, and I think that's contagious, and I think our players have good chemistry because of the chemistry that we're hopefully being a great example with.
When you have seasons like Deshaun and even Wayne had last year, people say, well, we expect them to be even better. But how do you improve on what were just absolutely great seasons?
Yeah, well, I think the biggest thing is, like we said, you should go back to work, and you don't worry about any of that stuff. I mean, Coach Sweeney did a great job in the team meeting the other day. He asked our players to name the last 5 Heisman Trophy winners. They couldn't get past the last 2. Nobody remembered any of the others. I mean, nobody cares all the awards that Deshaun won last year. That's over. It's a new year and a new focus, and so that's really where our attention is really putting everything from last year to bed and really focusing on this year. And how can we get better? How can we improve? How can we finish when we get those opportunities to finish where maybe we didn't there in that last game? And that's all things that we're talking about this spring. That'll be focused as we go out through spring and summer.
Do you think about how blessed you've been as a position coach with the guys you've had since 2010?
Absolutely. the one advantage that I had growing up is my dad always told me to be sure that you're recruiting great players at your position. That's something I learned at a very early stage, and we've been very fortunate to have some high quality players, and I think whenever they come and have success, it helps recruiting that next group because they see the success that you've had. But I give these guys a lot of credit, and I think our guys in our room, in the wide receiver room, they take a lot of pride in the success and accomplishments that the wide receivers before them have had at Clemson. And I've told them it's not your job to maintain that. It's your job to improve on that, and that's really what they're trying to do every day. And we get text messages from those former guys all the time, texting me, texting the other wideouts, asking how they're doing, and encouraging the guys. And so I feel very blessed to have a great group, and to be honest, not just great players, but also high character guys that's fun to go work with. Sometimes the wide receiver position can be a position with a lot of prima donnas, and we've been very fortunate to have hungry, humble, hardworking guys at that position, and that's what we look for in the recruiting process.
To make
Does it change the dynamic to have Mike back?
Yeah, it makes a big difference. He's done a really good job in 6 weeks, or 6 practices here in spring practice. He's a big force over there in the boundary. Makes a lot of plays. Is long, tough guy to cover, and adds another element for us over there in our offense. And I think the fact that Deshaun and Wayne, those running backs, the success that we had last year running the ball is hopefully going to create some problems for the defense once Mike gets out there. And they're going to have to make decisions. Are they going to stay in one high and let him be one-on-one with the corner, or are they going to stay too high? And then you got really good numbers to run the ball. So I've been really pleased with Mike's attitude, his work ethic. I haven't seen a whole lot of rust out of him, to be honest. First couple of days he kind of got winded trying to get back into football shape, but I'm really pleased with where he is mentally and physically, and he's got a chance to be a dynamic player in this offense and have a huge impact for us next year.
Do you have to bring him along slowly because of the severity of it?
I think more than anything, our message is when you're out there, you got to go full speed, and then let us control the time when you're out there and when you're not. And there'll be certain time in live, a few times when we go scrimmage and we're in live action and stuff like that, where we may pull him out, hold him out, let him watch a little bit. But really, he's getting 95% of everything we're doing. He's right out there in the middle of it. And so the message to him is when you're out there, you got to go full speed. That's the only way you can get better. And then let us kind of control and protect you along the way this spring.
What is your thoughts on the offensive line through 6 practices?
Yeah, really pleased. I think after our first half scrimmage Monday, the one comment that we had was there's probably the fewest missed assignments from that group. That's something you look for early. Got a lot of guys moving in, playing different positions, moving around, and really good communication. Very few missed assignments. They're targeted at the right spots. I think that's one reason that we went from 34 sacks in 2014 to 17 sacks in this past year, is just communication and guys knowing who they have. And that starts with the leadership. Jay Glaramo does a great job. Can't be said enough what he brings to us there at the front, making all the calls and being a leader for that entire group. But really pleased where they are. And chemistry with the offensive line is something that maybe is underrated a little bit. And it just seems like these guys are on the same page. They take a lot of pride in what they do. Got a great relationship with Deshaun. And they go to work every day. So really pleased with where they are, and I think we have a chance to be better than we were last year. Positive.
Some of the words have been used about the young offensive line and foundation and chemistry, as you just said. What about intelligence? Like, how smart do they have to be at 18, 19 to go and
I think
contribute?
offensive line, typically the closer you get to the football, the harder it is to play as a young player. As a wide receiver, it may be a little bit easier for those guys because of all the 7-on-7 stuff these guys do since the 7th grade. But offensive line, they're in there blocking some grown men. And one thing we're fortunate in is we got some really good guys on the defensive front. So they're seeing it. I feel bad for that second, third group having to block Dexter Lawrence and a few of those guys in there. It's not real fair. But yes, I think I'm really pleased with all those young guys. Tremaine Ankram's a guy that's shown up really early, I was having lunch with my dad the other day, talking to him. Back when he was coaching the OL, sometimes those freshmen that just got here, they wouldn't get reps for about 6 or 8 months. And now these guys in here in their 4th and 5th practice are out there making the right calls and doing a really good job getting a lot of reps. I think it's one thing that Coach Sweeney has done that's really helped us is repping 3 groups, where maybe a lot of places just rep 2 groups. Coach Sweeney's real big on repping 3 groups, getting all those guys reps, and that's the only way you get better is getting reps. But both, Sean and Tremaine coming in, those are kind of the new guys this spring that have really had to learn and pick up everything for the first time. I think both of those guys are going to be really good players for us in the future if they continue the way that they've started.
Is that because of the pace of practice? Y'all can rep 3 groups?
Yeah, it is. We get 3 groups. We get anywhere from 10 to 12 plays in 5 minutes by getting 3 groups, and it definitely helps. And that's one thing Coach Sweeney's always pushing. We don't do a lot of conditioning after practice because of the way that we practice is at a very fast tempo, and it helps everybody, not just offensive line, but skill guys, quarterbacks, running backs. I mean, there's not many guys walking off our field each day that didn't get a good day's work, and I think that really helps us throughout the entire season.
Does that make it easier when a guy goes down
Yeah.
to bring everybody up?
Absolutely. You don't have a new guy going in there getting reps for the first time, and then also we cross-train a lot of guys as much as we can at the skill positions. A guy like Artavis Scott, he's been moved around. Hunter Renfro, moved in the boundary to 9-man the other day. Whenever we pulled Mike out, Trevion was out, with a minor injury. So, Renfro gets in there in the boundary and goes to work and makes plays. And so, and that's what's going to happen in the season. You're going to have injuries, and guys are going to have to be able to move around and play different spots. And when you're repping a lot of guys, you have more opportunities to move guys around and cross-train.
Inching forward, number 2 RB.
I'll let Tony kind of make that comment. I spend all my time out there with those guys, chasing my guys around. But I have seen that group work. I think, it's been said before, but we got a chance really to have 4 really good players there this spring. All those guys are getting better, and see a lot of guys making plays. But Tony's pretty hard on those guys, and so he probably would say no. Right now they're all in the same area. Nobody's really made that next step, but we're really excited about that group.
Specifically about Adam Choice, because it's been a year and a half now since the ACL.
Yeah, Adam's, the ACL all depends on the guy that's coming back from the injury. The guys come back differently, and a big part of it is how they rehab and how maybe mentally tough they are going into that how they attack that rehab process. And, Adam really approached it a lot like Deshaun did. And, he went full speed, and, Danny Poole and those guys are having to slow him down rather than speed him up. So I think he's had the right mentality. He was able to get back last year and did a good job for our scout team. But he's a guy that has done a good job this spring, and he looks faster, and he looks like he's getting healthier. And the big thing is just getting the reps and understanding all the different things that we're asking him to do coming off the year, off the scout team. But we think he's a guy that's a natural runner and poised for a good year.
What about the guys behind Jordan at tight end? Anybody kind of?
Yeah, there's a lot of competition there. DJ Greenlee's a guy that's probably not talked about a lot, that's shown a lot of good improvement, catching the ball well. His routes have improved, but really, all those guys are probably in that same group, looking for somebody to separate. Probably too early. Really haven't seen anybody really separate themselves completely from that pack, but that's one thing we're looking for this spring. Once we get through the end of spring, is really to find out who that number 2 guy is. And, one day it might be Milan, the next day it's Garrett Williams, the next day it might be Cannon Smith. So it's kind of rotated around. So it's going to be the consistency over the 15 practices we're looking for.
Has anybody created any separation at backup quarterback?
No. I would say those guys are getting a lot of reps. Those guys are getting some reps with the 1s and the 2s. But I'd say it's still probably too early. I think all those guys are probably getting equal reps behind Deshaun right now.